What's up everyone? Welcome back to my 4-Star School YouTube channel. In today's lesson, we are continue working on this task app using the GetX package. In the last lesson, we have set up our task module, task provider, task repository, and local storage services. So in today's lesson, we're going to work on the create, read, update, and delete for the task. If you are new to my channel, feel free to reach out to my channel page and you will find Flutter app from scratch tutorial, Flutter UI tutorial, Flutter GetX tutorial, and Flutter widget tutorial, and Dart programming language tutorial. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, sum up my content, and open the notification so you won't miss out the latest Flutter tutorial. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Let's open our Visual Studio Code and our emulator. First, we're going to locate our home folder, and as you see, we have empty controller.dart file and empty binding.dart file. So first, we're going to create a controller class for our home page, and then we're going to change these home page to extend our get view. So first, for our controller class, we're going to create a home controller, right, which extends the GetX controller. So we could save for now. And for our binding, we're going to find our GetX controller. But for our controller, we're going to need our repository, right? So we will create our task repository, and we're going to pass from our constructor. Okay. Oh, we're going to remove this underline because in this controller we're going to manage our task. So we need to use this task repository either to read our tasks or write the tasks. So we need this task repository, and we're going to pass it from the constructor. And then back to this binding class, and we're going to create our home binding that implement the binding class. So let's create a class called home binding, which implements the binding. First, we need to import library and then override this method. So we were using the get.lazyPut. We will create our home controller. So we need import library as well. And as you see, we have a required attribute, so which is task repository. So we will create our task repository. But when we create a task repository, we also need this task provider, because you see in our task repository, we will receive our provider. So here we're going to indicate the provider, which is task provider. Okay, so let's save. Then we can change our view.dart file. We're going to extend the get view by specify our home controller. Okay, so we need to import a library for home controller. Okay, we finish the home page, and we need to also initialize our binding class inside this material apps. We will implement this initial binding. So we're going to use our home binding, right? We need to import a library. Okay, so we need to remove the constant keyword and place the constant keyword here. And also we have a builder. So for the toast, we're going to use this third-party library called Flutter Easy Loading. We are going to show the toast either when the operation success or the operation failure. So we're going to import these dependents in our pub/cbc YAML file under equitable. We're going to save it, and then we will import a library in our main.dar. Okay, and then we just wait few seconds. So for this builder, we're going to use easy loading init. Then we can use easy loading in our app. Okay, so we can close the main.dar, and for this binding, we can also close it. So we will focus on our home page and the controller. Okay, so back to this design file. So first we're going to implement a title for our homepage. So let's open this view.dar under the home folder. So we're going to return a scaffold, right? And for its body, we're going to wrap it with the safe area. And for its child, we're going to use a list view. Okay, we're going to remove this constant keyword. For the list view, we're going to write down our title first. It will be a text widget, my list. Okay, and we're going to style it using the text style. And we will change its font size using our extension for the double. Okay, so we need to import library. Okay, so in our call utils, we have an extension on the double, so we were using this one. So we will import library. I think it's import package GetX to utils extensions start. Okay, then we can use this responsive form. So, and also we're going to change the font weight to bold. Okay, so let's save it for now. Okay, let's remove this default debug banner. So we're going to debug show check banner. We're going to set to false. Okay, and for our title, we're going to add some padding. So we were using this edgeinset.org, but we will change it to using the responsive padding. So let's save. I think that's for our title. Okay, next we'll do some initialization on our controller. So back to the controller.dar under the home folder. I'm going to create a variable So it's a list of tasks, and we're going to observable the entire list. Whenever the task inside this list changes, you will rerun the page. So we will observable on the list of tasks. So and then we have our initial method. So inside this onInit method, we're going to first call the super.onInit, and then we are using this task aside for going to task repository dot read tasks. Okay, then we will get all the tasks and put in here, and then we are using this ever function. So whenever the task change, we're going to write task. Okay, that's for our onInit method. Also, we'll have this onClose method. We were doing some like adding controller dispose in this onClose method. Okay, so when you load our home view, and home view will create this home controller, and you will load a list of tasks from the local storage, and you will assign to our task variable, and you will show in here. Next, I'm going to create a file under this widget folder, and which will be shared among all different pages. So I'm going to call it icons.dat. So inside we have a method. We will return a list of icons. As you see, we define those code point in separate file. I guess it's in this value. We define a list of icon, and we have defined a list of color, and we will create this file which is icons.dar. We will return a list of icon with our defined code point and the color. So we're going to save it because you will use in different pages. So we define in these common widgets, and then we're going to create the add card as you see in here, which is this add card, and we're going to use this dotted border library. So first we need to install the library. Just copy the dependency, going to paste here and save it. So since it was under home folder, so we're going to create 8 car under our home folder, right? And it should be a stateless widget. I'm going to call it home add car. Let's import the library and make the key nullable. So first we're going to find our controller, home controller. Okay, we need to import the library for our GetX and also for our home controller. Then we need to remove the constant keyword for its constructor. Okay, and we're going to return. So it's a container, but we will give it height and width. So first we will need a list of icons, because when you add a new task type, going to type the task type name and the icon. So we will have a local variable store a list of icons, right? And then we have a square white, which we could use this get width minus our responsible padding. So we're going to import our extension library, and we can keep the container high. So the width is square width divided by 2. Okay, and the height also the square width divided by 2. So as you see, we will using the grid view. Only have 2 columns, so we'll divide this by 2. Okay. So, and for the margin, we will use this edge inset.or 3. Now you see we have a 3 on left side and 3 on right side for each add card. So you will need to minus like 12 in total, right? Okay, so that's for our margin. And for the trial, we will wrap with the ink well, so you could see a slash effect when you click the add card. So we're going to implement its own tabbed method, and also we will have this child attribute. For child, I'm going to use dot border, this one, and we specify the color we want, which is colors dot gray 400, and then we will have a dash pattern would be constant A4. Okay, and for trial, we're using the center widget, and then we will have icon. Size going to give it 10. Okay, should be weight point, and then we have a color using colors the grid. Okay, that's it, and we can save it. So in order to see this add card on our view, we're going to import it. So under these paddings, we're going to create the grid view. Okay, it should be grid view.count. And we specify cross count be 2. And you will notice we have the grid view inside this list view. So we're going to specify it is shrink wrap to true, and also for the physics, we're going to make it clamping scroll physics, so it will scroll together. Okay, and for this children, we are using the add card for now. So that's import library, so we can save it. And you will see we have this card shown here, and when you click it, you will see the splash effect because we're using the ink wheel. So next we're going to implement the on-tab attribute. That means when I tap this add card, we will have a pop-up dialog ask me to type the task type name and select the icon. So we're going to use add card.dart in this on-tab attribute. I'm going to make it asynchronized, so we will await this get.default dialog. Okay, we're using the get default dialog. And for the title padding, we're going to use this edge inset symmetric, vertical going to set to waypoint, 5 waypoint, and radius going to set to 5. and the title will be task type. Okay, and we can save for now. Let's see, when I click this add card, you see we have a task type shown here, right? This will be a default text. We're going to change it later. So we were using the phone in this case. So we're going to create our phone key in the controller. So first, the container will wrap with our phone, right? And phone, we will need a key. So we will create the key in our controller. So it will be a final variable. I'm going to call it phone key, which is a global key, right? And we have our phone state. Okay. So let's save it, and we could access this phone key here using our home controller, right? So the home controller dot phone key. Okay, and for the phone key we also have required attribute, which is it is child. For it is child, we're going to use a colon widget, and we were using TextFormField because we're going to validate the user input. So in this case, we will choose this TextFormField, and we will need our controller, which is text editing controller. So it's the same. We're going to create a controller. Going to call edit controller. Okay, equals text editing controller. Okay, and save it. So we can make it shorter. And we're going to use here. We're going to use home controller dot edit controller, and we will then have a declaration. We're using the input declaration. Okay, and we have a border. Border would be the outline input border. Okay, outline input border, and we have a label text, which will be a title. Okay, we can save for now. You see we have this pop-up and going to ask me to type the name, and because in here we're using the form, that means we're going to validate our user input. So in this text form field we have this validator attribute, so we'll receive the value and we're going to validate. So if the value equals none, or the value dot print dot is empty, going to return it back, right? It's empty. Okay, we're going to return please enter your task title. Okay, otherwise we're going to pass it, so we just return none. Okay, so let's save it. Also I keep the padding for this text field, so let's wrap with padding widget, and we're going to remove this constant keyword, choose the symmetric, and we use responsive padding, so we are using these 3 weight point. Okay, so now it seems good, and then we are going to implement the icon so the user can collect. So under this padding widget we have another wrapped widget. Okay, So the spacing give to weight point, and for the children we're using icons, right? Because we have a list of icons. We're going to use the map function. Okay, using the map function, we're going to return. So in here, because we want to indicate when the user is select this type of icon, so we're going to use a variable to keep track of a user selection, and you will automatically re-render the page. So we're going to define another attribute. So in our home controller, and I consider using something called chip index. So chip index. Okay, so by default will be a 0. So let's save it, and we can change it by creating a method, a void. I'm going to call it change chip index, and we'll receive the integer value. So we have a chip index dot value equals value. Okay, and let's save. So for here, I'm going to return the OBX, right? Because we will have our chip index dynamically render. So going to return our choice chip. Okay, and we'll have label and select. So first we're going to find the index of the icons dot index of the element. We will return the index, and for the label we're going to use the element, right? And here we're going to select what will be home controller dot chip index dot value equals index, right? We will check if it's equal. We're going to select. Also we have this on select method. I will receive a boolean variable select, and when select we will check on controller dot chip dot value equals selected. If we select, going to assign the index, otherwise just 0. Okay. Okay, let's test it. Okay, now I think it's work for now, but we need to style it a little bit. Okay, let's quickly recap for this Choicechip. So first we define an index variable. By default it's 0. So every time when you open this dialog, the first one will be select, right? Because we didn't clear it. If we select this one and we close it, next time it's still this one because we manually change these chip index, the value. So we need to do some cleanup stuff when we close this dialog. And here we will compare if the index is equal to the index. If they are the same, so we're going to highlight this one. As you see, we have this blue background color indicate our chip is selected, right? On select means we pass this boolean value, so we're going to check if our index, if it's select, right? If it's select, we're going to change its index, otherwise we're going to say to 0. Okay, we're going to style it a little bit. So first for the selected color, we're going to use the gray color 200, and then for the press elevation, we're going to set to 0, and for the background color, change to white. Okay, let's save, and we close this dialog and open again. Okay, now seems more material, so we're going to add some padding for our wrapped widget. So going to use this padding widget, and using this symmetric for the horizontal or vertical, going to use 5 waypoint. Okay, let's save. Okay, next we're going to implement our elevated button, which can handle our own submit event. So let's create elevated button, and for it is on press, going to leave empty for now, and we're going to style it and change it is elevated button style. Style form, we could change it is primary color to the blue we define, which is from our custom colors.dart file. Then for it is shape, we can change to rounded rectangle border. Okay, and we will change the border radius using the border radius dot circular, probably 20 is enough. Okay, and then we have our minimum size, so we're using constant keyword for the width and height. So let's save, and for the child, just a constant test, which is confirmed. Okay, so let's save for now and close it and open again. And basically, I think that's pretty much for this style, this button, and we will focus on this on press the method. So as you see, we wrap everything inside our form widget, so we could validate our text input. So for our on press, we're going to check if the home controller dot font key dot currently state validate. Okay, if we validate, we're going to do something, otherwise we will do nothing. So first let's check, let's close, and we're going to save the code. So first let's open our task car, and if I hit these confirm, you will see our validator will show the error because we didn't input anything, right? So if we type something and we hit confirm, the error text will gone, right? Because we do the validator in here. If we success, we're going to store the icon and the color for our task, right? So for the icon, we're going to use icon start home controller chips index, okay, the value, and the icon dot code point. Okay, this is for our icon, and we have a string of color, and still the same, we could use this one, copy color dot to. So I think we will have our test this extension, this function we create, so we could turn this color to a hex string. So we finish the icon and the color. So then we could construct our task by using this constructor, and we will pass the title title came from our home controller dot edit controller dot text. Okay, and then we have icon. So icon of just the icon, and the color, just the color we got from this selected. So we're going to import the library. Okay, so we construct our task, and then we're going to close our this dialog, and we were using the home controller. We will write a method which is add task. Right, we're going to pass our task. Okay, and then we were using the easy loading to show if it's success. So if it's success, we're going to show success. So we need to import the easy loading library. Okay, and easy loading dot show success. Success, we have the message for the success, which is create success, right? And then we have easy loading for failures. Okay, loading dot show error. Okay, we're going to have a duplicate task. Okay, then we're going to implement this add task method in our controller. For the add task, it's pretty straightforward. Let's open our controller.dar, and we're going to have a method which will return a boolean type add task. Okay, we will receive a task object, and we will check if tasks.contains task. If it contains, I'm going to return false. Otherwise, I'm going to add the task. Right, it's pretty straightforward. Okay, I'm going to return the true. The reason we can doing this because we extend this equitable, right? We'll compare it is a title, icon, and color. So this method, we're going to check if the task exists in our tasks list, right? With the same title, same color, and same name. Okay, so we can save it. And back to this add card, we can save it as well. And don't forget, we're going to clear our text field and also the select index right after we close or we confirm the task. So we're going to put it, and I think I'm put it here. So after we close the dialog, so let's see, our dialog is here. Okay, so we'll put in here. So we're using the home controller, the edit controller, we're going to clear it. Okay. And another one is for the home controller. We have a change chip index. We're going to set to 0. Okay, so let's save it. So next time we'll click it and you close it, right? You'll click it automatically for you, right? Either you hit this confirm and you success add the task, or you just dismiss this dialog. So you automatically clear for you. Okay. So I think we finished the add task, but we still cannot see if we add a task because we're going to implement the task card next. Okay, let's create our task card widget. Okay, it should be a stateless widget as well, and we need our home controller to display our information. So we're using task card. Going to import library. make the key nullable. So first we are going to find our home controller, because we can access to the task list in our home controller. So we're going to find our home controller. So we need to import a library for our home controller, and also for the GetX package. So, and then we will have individual task, right? So this task will be passed from our constructor. So going to import a task as well. Let's save. For the container, so first we're going to, like our add car, we will have our square width. Okay, we're going to import library for our extension as well. And also we're going to find our color dot from hex code using task dot color. Okay, we can get the color. So for the container, we're going to write down it is width will be the square width divided by 2, and also for the height will be the same, square width divided by 2. And for the trial, I'm going to use the column widget. But first, implement the margin. We're going to use the edge inset.or, and we have 3 width point. So sum up is 12, and we minus 12. Because one square you have a left side and right side, so we have 2 square, so we will times 4 in this case. So for this trial, we're going to use the column widget. Now we're going to style our task card. We will have our shadow. So using the box decoration, the box decoration will have color, so give it white color. So the box shadow require a list, so we're going to use box shadow. Okay, so inside box shadow we're going to have color gray 300 is enough, and then we have blur radius, give it 7, and then we have an offset using constant offset 0 and 7. Okay, so let's save. So in order to see it, we're going to, we're going to use it in our view, right? In here, we can pass it here, but we need these tasks, so we could random create one. So we have icon, title, and color. Okay, we need to import the task card. So for the icon, let's see icon. We could just copy one, paste here, and for the color, a string. So we could use some random color. Okay. So let's save. You will see we have these task card showing here. We have our shadow, It's pretty similar like the prototype. Okay, then we're going to style it to display our title, icon, and color. And for color, I think I'm going to change. Maybe I'm using this one, the blue one. So let's close it and find our view. So in here, I'm using our color. Okay. So back to our task card. So inside the column, we're going to alignment our widget inside. So using the cross alignment dot start, and we have a children attribute. So the first one, and in here we're going to use another library. It's called step progress indicator. Yes, in here. So you can use it to display your gradient indicator like it's shown here. So using this package, so let's import a library. And then we're going to import this file in our task card. So in here, I'm going to use the stepped progress indicator. Okay, and we have a total step. So we're going to add a to-do in here. So when we finish our operation for the to-do item, so we could come back here to dynamic changing this progress indicator. So going to change after finish to do. Okay, item. For the total step, I'm going to have, for example, just 100, and the currently step, so keep it 80%. Okay, and then we'll have the size for our progress indicator, and also the padding are going to set to 0, and we have a selected gradient color, so we're using linear gradient. So we'll have a begin will be alignment from the top left, and here will be end would be the bottom right, and we have colors. Okay, so the color 0.5, and then we have a color. So for the unselect, so for the unselect gradient color, we're just using the white color. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to add a constant keyword. Okay, so let's save it. Yeah, you see we have a gradient indicator show on our task card. Remember, we're going to change this total step and current step after we finish our to-do item. So for now, we leave it here. So, and then we have our icon using icon data. I'm using task icon, and we have a font family. Font family will be material icons. Okay, and then We have a color, so just using the color. So let's save. And I think we need to give it padding. So for the padding, using sex weight point. Okay, let's save. So next will be our text, right? So we're going to use a colon. Okay, we have children attribute. So we're going to set the cross alignment to start. And for the children, we have our text will be task.title, right? So another one would be how many to-do items inside the task. So first we're going to check if the to-do is none. If it's not none, we're going to get it is length. Otherwise, we're going to return a 0. So let's save it. And you will see our task show on the card. But we're going to style it. So first we're using the text style. Going to change the font weight to bold, and then I'm going to change the font size to 12. Okay, and that's for our title. We're also going to set the overflow to eclipse. Okay, for the second one, and I'm going to style it using the constant keyword, text style. I'm going to again the font weight. It's font weight.bold, and the color would be colors.gray. Okay, going to add some padding for colon. We're using the sex weight point. Okay, save it. And going to add some space between our title and the number of to-do items. So using the height would be 2 weight point. Okay, save it. Okay, that's pretty much for our task car. So let's save. And we can close our task car. And for our view, and we can dynamic rendering how many tasks in our local storage, and we will show how many task car. So okay, let's change it. So we're going to delete this one. I'm going to use controller dot tasks, right? And the tasks will return a list of tasks. So each one we're going to map into our task car. Okay, I'm going to spread out those. So for individual, I'm going to return our task car, right? And for the task car, the task will be individual element. So let's save. So now you will see you will show the total number of tasks in my local storage. So I'm going to clear it. So in here, I'm going to write another method. So I'm going to write empty list when I restart my application. So I'm going to test it if this add task car is fully functional. So let's restart our application. you'll see those 3 tasks delete, and we can add 1 task. So it's the first one called personal. So you add it successful, but it didn't show. So that means we didn't wrap it with our OBX. So let's back to this view there. We're going to wrap our widget with the OBX observable, because we have the observable variable. So that's safe. And now you see we have this personal task show, right? So another one, I add the same task. So when I hit confirm, you will immediately show the error message, because we are not allowed to add the same task, right? And then we can add another task, work task, and it will show immediately after we add it, right? If you just hit this confirm without input anything, it will show the error message. You need to type your task title. Okay, I think our add task function is work pretty well. Okay, move to watch. Okay, I think I will probably stop the video here. So I will leave the rest of part in our next tutorial. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, sign up my content, and open the notification so you won't miss out the latest Flutter tutorial. Okay, I will see you in next video.